Hey, what is up, everybody? This is your boy AJTRIP coming at you with That to Shoot, my weekly episode show what's going on in the world of professional wrestling. And actually, this is a special edition. This is coming to you on a Sunday. I was actually going to not have one, to do one this Friday, but over the weekend, some things just came to me and said, you know what? I got it. Instead of waiting until next Friday to talk about it, I decided to go ahead and do one right now. And this may be the new thing. I'll just do that to shoot when it comes to me. If something, if something breaks that day or whatever, maybe I'll just do that to shoot then. Maybe along with or without the weekly episodic show. So we'll talk about that. So this one's like a 4-pack of things that have happened. That I'd like to talk about. We were talking about Travis Scott, Jelly Roll, Seth Rollins' injury, and Evolution 3. And actually, let's start with Evolution 3 because this is going to be just probably the shortest one. So Evolution 2 was, I don't know about financially. If you watch the thing with Triple H at the end of the show, when he came in and sat down, he didn't talk about all of the big business that this did or anything like that, like he's done with all of the other ones, because of course, that's not, this had been rumored to be not what it was. It had been rumored to not be like the sellout. And at one point, there was some rumors that it was going to be like, sold like only 4,000 tickets. And there was rumors that they heard that they had to taper off the upper deck because those were not going to be sold. Now I think some things have come out since then talking about where those were only the single day tickets or whatever that was, but more tickets have been sold and they end up being maybe closer to 8,000 tickets have been fully sold, not 4,000, so that was okay. But as you can tell, he didn't come out and talk about, again, all of the big business that they did. So that was something. But there was talk about Evolution 3. Is this going to be Evolution 3? And he made something that I think is something that makes kind of sense. He's talking about having women have their own pay-per-view. Isn't something, that's not what is equality. Equality is the fact that they get, they're treated the same. They get as much time as possible as the men, and when the story is called for it, they get the main events. They get the prime time slots. They get anything like that. That's what the equality is. It's going for. Not, they get the time invested into their stories. It's not the fact that they get in all women's pay-per-view. So, and I agree with that. I agree with that to a very interesting stance. I do. I do think there are sometimes where you can't do special premium live events. And I don't think that Evolution should be a yearly event. I don't. But once every 3 years, to come out and do an Evolution event, I think is fine. And I think that's something that is also good too. Because I think in the last couple of years, especially since Triple H has taken over, there doesn't seem to be like they want to do a September premium live event. As you can see, like this year, we're a couple weeks away from the first 2 nights Summerslam, August the 2nd and 3rd. And then at the end of the month, August 30th, is going to be Clash in Paris. But there's not one scheduled for September. October, I believe October is Crown Jewel um, in Perth, I believe. Crown Jewel in Perth. I mean, that's going to be, yeah, that's Saturday, October 25th. So there isn't one set for September. And you know, on one hand, as I've told you guys this many times before, yeah, I think the WWE doesn't need to and should not be doing pay-per-views every month anymore. You know, you understood why they did it in 95 and 96 because they were competing with the first legitimate threat the WWF has ever competed with, and that was WCW. And so they were competing with them head to head. So putting, you know, monthly pay-per-views on, you know, it made sense to compete like that with them. They're not competing with anybody. You know, despite what anybody else thinks, despite what AEW thinks, despite what any fans think, hell, despite what they think. You know, the only reason why we had, you know, we had a Great American Bash, a Saturday Night Main Event, and a Women's Evolution, all happening in over a weekend, was because AEW had All In happening, and they wanted to try to take them out, and there's no need for that. AEW is not competition. It just isn't. You've seen them. They suck. This shit is garbage. And it's insane. Now, so, you know, Tony Khan wrote, you know, it was aggravated by No DQ or Ringside News. One of those two people, one of those two services aggravated a quote that Tony Khan says, stating that if he was a kid, AEW would be the wrestling he want to watch. And I said, yes, AEW is for kids because it goes to the lowest common denominator. Being drugged through glass, having glass glued to your fist and hitting each other with it, and all the other silly, stupid shit, putting syringes in the cheeks and everything like that, drinking a man's blood, all that shit is for kids. It's not for grown-ups. Grown-ups don't want to see that shit. Grown-ups want to see Drew McIntyre and CM Punk fighting inside a Hell of a Cell, where they bleed like crazy. Especially Drew McIntyre, and they bleed because it's the only time they're bleeding, and they're bleeding with ridiculous stuff. And the things make sense. I still can't remember. Like, he brought up the bag, and everybody, every time that black bag comes out, you automatically think thumbtacks. And then what is it? It's not thumbtacks. It's those beads, and it's incredible, and it's insane. Anyway, but back to the real thing here. Yeah, with no premium live events on seemingly Saturday, I think that would be a good time to do an Evolution preview every like 3 years or so. Yeah, I think we still continue to push the things. I think within reason, right? I still kind of think that for the most part, the men are going to draw the most money, and they're gonna draw the people into the things, and which is why I've been for the last few years. I've been okay with the men having the 2-night manias because that's what they were there for. the bloodline stuff in 39 between the Usos and Kevin Owens and Kimmy, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And even though, Charlotte and Rhea, they didn't get it, and but they went out there and tried to steal the show, and they almost did. And then of course for 40 with the bloodline stuff, and even this year, I'm okay with that, because I think that is the things that are doing things, and we've kind of come to a point that when it comes to WrestleMania, it's almost as important as and I would say almost all premium live events for WWE. It is almost as important to kick off the show as it is to finish the show. So if you kick off, and I'm not trying to say that it's a main event. A main event happens at the end of the show. It's the last match, but Jey Uso, Gunther, and the Women's Triple Threat on WrestleMania. That means just as much kicking off the show as the Men's Triple Threat Night 1 and then Cody and Cena Night 2 meant to end the show. So yeah, I think and to wrap this up, wrap this part of it up, Evolution 3 I think would be great. I think if we could get it in 2028, I think that would be nice as well. By then we might even have some bigger names. I don't know, about Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair and maybe even Bayley, where those would be at. I don't know if Sasha Banks could come back. So it's all what it is, but yeah, if we had another one in 2028 in September, I think it would be great to see an Evolution 3. But I definitely think it should not be a yearly premium live event. So what the hell is going on with Travis Scott? We have not seen Travis Scott in just WrestleMania 42, the main event. We've not seen him on television. We've not seen him all the time. We've not seen him anywhere. So what has happened to Travis Scott? Well, there were rumors that there was going to be a Money in the Bank tag match where Travis Scott was going to be there. He was going to be at Money in the Bank. They had so much stuff made that they had T-shirts. It was the event, and everything was going to happen. And I guess what was going to happen. What was going to happen was that Travis Scott was going to team with John Cena. I don't know if it was going to be Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso or whatever it was, but whatever was the thing, that was the plan for Money in the Bank, and then that was going to lead to a not triple threat, but a 6-man tag at Summerslam, where I'm guessing it was going to be Cena, Logan, and Scott against again another team. Hell, it may not even been Summerslam. It may have been something that main event. I don't know. I'm not sure. But Travis Scott was penciled in for all of these things, and he just has not shown his face. And for some people, that's been totally fine. That's been totally okay. They didn't like what Travis Scott was and what he was. They didn't like the fact that he was in the ring when Cena turned heel. They didn't like the fact that he was reckless with Cody Rhodes and busted his eardrum. They didn't like the fact that he took his time walking down the ramp at WrestleMania Night 2. The only time they liked Travis Scott was when he came out with Jey Uso smoking a joint at the at the Raw on Netflix debut. It's the only time I think the fans have liked seeing Travis Scott on television. Um, I've had no problem with Travis Scott personally. Again, I think that any celebrity involvement can't, it can't be bad. In a sense of publicity or anything that happens, right? Anything that goes down, like even like Cardi B. Some people are worried now that because Cardi B was on Twitter, I guess, talking mess, and then Bailey was, replied to her, and there's some people like, oh no, not Bailey too, and we'll get to why some people are, going crazy about like that and everything like, and the other things like that in a second. But to Travis Scott, he just seemed to have been he now seems to be persona non grata with the WWE after for like a time there where it seemed like he was going to be one of the big things. They were going to try to make him another Logan Paul or anything like that. If you really remember, there was a TikTok or that went out about what went down after Elimination Chamber, where Travis Scott was so geeked because he had been so geeked and he was out there and he couldn't believe it, and he'd get that feeling of being out there with the fans and everything like that. And this is something that he was talking about that he was wanting to do and everything like that. He up there hugging the Rock and everything like that, and going in there, and he was even talking about, this is my job now. This is my job. And Triple was like, okay, see you Monday. But I guess there's been some things that have happened since then that turn that around. So this is from, I got an article here from the WrestlingNewsSource.com. This has been posted by Ben Karen. Travis Scott reportedly pulled from WWE plans due to lack of commitment. After making headlines with his surprise involvement at WrestleMania 41, rapper Travis Scott has since vanished from WWE programming. Now, new backstage reports are offering insight into why Scott's anticipated role in WWE did not develop further, citing a lack of commitment and issues with in-ring training. According to the Wrestler Observer News, WWE had plans for a celebrity tag match involving Scott following his WrestleMania appearance. However, those plans were ultimately dropped. The report states that Scott's inconsistent dedication became a problem, with one insider noting he does not like to commit to anything. He goes half in and tries other projects at the same time. And since he is a personal client of Ari, everyone tried to accommodate it until it just became too much to deal with. Further details shared by TC Wrestleworks supported this narrative, noting that Scott was not a quick learner of the business. He was reportedly being lined up for a more extended run as a part of John Cena's farewell tour. This storyline was originally expected to evolve from Scott's interference at WrestleMania 41, where he assisted John Cena in defeating Cody Rhodes for the undisputed WWE Championship. With Scott's involvement no longer part of the picture, WWE has continued ahead with Cena's final championship run. The legendary superstar now locked into a heated feud with Cody Rhodes, with a face-to-face contract signing scheduled to happen Friday night SmackDown to confirm the undisputed WWE Championship class at Summerslam. And to add a little bit to that last part, it was noted that Cody Rhodes made it a street fight. He had a street fight clause put into it. He knocked out John Cena. Put the pin in John Cena's hands, signed the contract. And anytime everything like this happens, everybody always notes that this is not how contracts work. You can't. If you knock out somebody and sign their name, the contract is not legal and void. Or if you sign your name where someone else's personal name is supposed to be, that's not how contract works. Every time something happens like that, we always get those those people, that's not how contracts, work in the real world. But yeah, it's wrestling. So as you can see there are some reasons why Scott has been put in the WWE plans, and in fact, to go so far as to say that it was originally supposed to be, the rumors were that it was supposed to be Travis Scott that was supposed to be part of the first DLC um, class of WWE 2K25. It was supposed to be the Motor City Machine Guns. It was supposed to be Stephanie Vaquero and Julia, and the fifth person was rumored to be Travis Scott. But at the very end, they decided to take that person out, and they said that it was going to be named later. And I think recently we just found out that that person is actually going to be El Grande Americano now, instead of Travis Scott. So, who knows? So, it's does Travis Scott have some heat with the company right now? Are they disappointed with this? Because whenever they've added some celebrity to WWE, this has been, when that has happened, the celebrities have gone all in. The celebrities have gone all in. They, I guess we can try to talk about this now, maybe switch the two things, but they're doing this match at Summerslam where Randy Orton is teaming with Jelly Roll against Drew McIntyre and Logan Paul. And the reports are that Jelly Roll is taking this as serious as he can. That he has been living in Orlando for like the past few months, doing a whole bunch of training for this event. And he's on the Pat McAfee show earlier this week, where he was talking about it. He was talking about like he was taking bumps, he was trying to learn, and like that. Like one of the reasons why he lost weight was so that he could do this. He get in the ring because he's been he's a long time fan, and he's wanted to he wanted to do this. I think he said that was his originally what he wanted to do, was that he originally wanted to be a wrestler, but something happened and then he went down the wrong path and then went down another path and became a musician. But this is what he's always wanted to do and always wanted to be, and he's been putting in the commitment. He's been living in Orlando doing this, working every day, training every day. And so he's been talking about like training with having things like the Undertaker and Michelle McCool, like give him tips and pointers and everything like that. So he's putting in the work. He's putting in the commitment, and I guess apparently Travis Scott wasn't doing that. They have been rumors that in Rock said this on Pat McAfee show when Rock tried to do damage control for the WrestleMania Night 2 main event. He had said that Travis Scott was, he was a fan of this, and he was going down to working with Booker T in Houston. Travis Scott is from Houston, so he was working with Booker T. But is that not what? I guess that's maybe not what happened. Now, maybe Travis Scott is the same way. Maybe Travis Scott knew that he was not learning the business. He could see it, and maybe they told him he could see it. So maybe he decided, well, if it's not working out, then I'm not going to commit to it because I don't think I'm going to go in or anything like that. So, you just don't know. But quickly, I want to go back quickly to the Summerslam match. It's now a street fight. And we've got a whole lot of rumors. They're wanting a double turn between Cody and John Cena. We've got a whole bunch of other things happening. Going on from these people. They don't know what's happening. However, for it to be a street fight, I think something is gonna happen, and I don't know if it's Cody Rhodes turning heel and just into a babyface doing a ring. I don't know, but I think this is actually the perfect place to bring back Travis Scott. And this is what I would do if I'm bringing back Travis Scott and he doesn't have the business to, like, I'm having Travis Scott for one thing only, and that's to take him out of there, because if he's not gonna have the commitment to do this to a point to where he's an essential part of this, because one would say that, yeah, if he's a major player in the night, major player, if he's the only player in part of the night 2 main event, because Rock wasn't there, then yeah, he needs to have some part of Summerslam. But if he's not getting it and he's not this, then you need to do something to take him out of the picture. And I think nothing would be perfect, right? To have Travis Scott be put through a table, and put him through a table, have him stretch it out, and have the commentator say, I don't know if Travis Scott will ever be seen in the WWE ring again. Bam. There you go. And you can do it like that. But he at some point needs to be a part of SummerSlam to, so that we have no other reason to know what. So next time he shows up, he's sitting in the crowd and he's not, coming out to fiend. And does it also mean that The Rock is going to be coming out of SummerSlam as well? I'm sure we'll find out. We've got a few. We've got. Let's see. This is the 20th. So we've got about 12, 13 days away to figure out what like this. So gotta get 4 shows to figure out right now if there's any inkling of a Travis Scott or Rock thing appearance happening at SummerSlam. Again, like I said, I don't know if Rock will show up, but I definitely think Travis Scott needs to be showing up, and something needs to happen to him to be, and to be stretched out, so that we're, to know that we won't be seeing this guy again into the ring. Okay, so I talked about it a little bit towards the end of the Travis Scott segment. So now we're talking about Jelly Roll. And I guess the thing is with Jelly Roll, and there are gonna be some people out there who just they don't like any type of celebrity appearance. They don't think celebrity should be appearing in wrestling at things. They don't like the fact that they show them sitting at ringside. They don't like the fact that they have them maybe doing backstage segments or anything like that, and they especially don't like them in the ring, and it's fans like that, and sometimes it's even the wrestlers. We know about the sordid history of Roddy Piper and Mr. T. Mr. T, Roddy Piper did not like the fact that Mr. T was in the WWE, and he was a part of the business, and he was knowing the business, and he was not going to do anything to, and he didn't want to virtually do anything, really with Mr. T. But he even so much so that they actually did the whole thing where Hogan pinned Paul Orndorff instead of Roddy Piper, or even having Mr. T be a part of it. So That line of thinking goes back a long time. And like I said, I have no problem with any celeb doing anything, especially when you see like things that they have done, like Bad Bunny. I gave a couple of years ago match of the year to Bad Bunny and Damian Priest because I could not believe, one, how good that match was, and two, some of the stuff that Bad Bunny did. Like he was bumping on tables. He did a suplex from off something through a table, doing in the crowd. He was doing so much. So and it was crazy. It was crazy good. You cannot believe like what he did. And you know what, Logan Paul is not. Logan Paul is not part of WWE. He's a part-time wrestler. He's not a celebrity involvement. He's actually a true part-time wrestler. Um, and yeah, and any other celebrity involvement has always been great. So I'm not gonna have a problem with Jelly Roll in this, but from some people it seems like that the problem that they have with Jelly Roll is that who he's around. This isn't Bad Bunny and Damian Priest versus the Miz and Morrison, or this isn't even Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest. This is Randy Orton. This is Drew McIntyre. This is Logan Paul, who some people would say are main event players. They're part of the main event scene. These are some mid-carders. This isn't Jelly Roll teaming with, machine guns, to take on, DIY. This isn't that. This is, they're talking about two future WWE Hall of Famers and a guy, Logan Paul, who's taken to the business unlike any other, person we've ever seen do it. And for me, I think that's just being short-sighted. Not everybody can have these tremendous builds and tremendous, feuds going on all at once, right? They just can't. This is not how the wrestling business is. I don't think at any time ever in the wrestling business has there been players that you would consider to be main eventers having main event feuds. Yes, they'll have the main event feuds, but they'll also drop back into the mid card to either one, try to make that mid card to come up to a main event level, or B, to sit in the mid card while the other main event stuff is happening. So while Drew and Logan and Randy Orton, you could possibly all consider to be part of the main event scene, this does not feel like that, this is something that is, not needed, right? That this is like a step down for them. I don't think so. Especially when Jelly Roll is one of the most popular people in music today, and that's gonna bring more eyes to the product again, which is what WWE wants. There's so much stuff going on here. I think the people who are getting upset by this are crazy, because if anything goes to show, this is going to be good. Even if Jelly Roll kind of, farts on his face, you still have Randy and Drew and Logan there, and they're gonna make it good. So, like the backlash towards this, I find very forced. Like there seems to be right now in the wrestling community, a lot of forced hate, and a lot of people. Jey Uso's the main one. Seems to be forced hate at Charlotte Flair, although now since Charlotte Flair, I guess, isn't a part of the main event scene. Who again? Look at this, right? Charlotte Flair, her main event scene. She stepped back now, kind of in the mid card role, and it's something that she has to do. And I think this is a kind of a thing where they are going to they are trying to make the women's titles credible, and so they're going to put these titles on Charlotte, the greatest women's wrestler there ever has been, and Becky Lynch. Not Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch, because that's what Becky Lynch says. She says she's the greatest woman wrestler of all time. I'm sorry, she isn't. Sorry, SP3. No, she isn't. It's Charlotte. Charlotte and Alexa Bliss, and I think that they're gonna try to make this a more credible title, a more credible division. And there's no two people better than Charlotte and Alexa to try to do that. So that's totally fine. Yeah, and I don't see a lot of complaining about they're moving these two main eventers into a mid card feud, or to a mid card. No, there's nothing about that. And who's to say that this match is even going to be a mid card? I could very well see this match on either night, night 1 or night 2, being the second to main event for both nights. And hell, listen, if I don't think it's the case, because I think the main event of night 1 will either be Gunther and Punk or Tiffany and Jade. But if the build for this gets really good, I could totally see it main eventing night 1 as well. So let's not be crazy here. So yeah, I think that. So I don't think there's any problem right now with having Drew and Logan and Randy, in the Jelly Roll tag match. I really don't. Especially since Jelly Roll, like you mentioned a while ago, he's putting in the work, take this as serious, show people that he is serious, show the fans that he is serious about this business. And I think that's wonderful, and that's respectful, and it seems to be all about what Jelly Roll has been. Because overall, I think people think Jelly Roll is just a wonderful human being, a wonderful person. So, yeah, I would say that if you are just truly hating on this, you're forcing yourself to hate this, and I don't think you should be. I think this is not something to spend your time and your energy being hateful against. It just isn't. And finally, let's talk about Seth Rollins' injury. Last Saturday, on Saturday night's main event, Seth Rollins appeared to have injured his knee while doing a springboard plancha, and then a springboard like moonsault, landed on his knee, hurt his knee. He was on the ground for a few seconds, and then got up and hit that night hit a BFT for the victory, 1, 2, 3. So a lot of people was worried, but there's been reports coming out, a few reports coming out saying that this is a work, and they've been told that it was a work to watch out for an injury angle happening on Saturday Night Main Event, and there have been some people thinking that it's a real thing. There are some that even said that maybe it's both. Sure, maybe Seth Rollins did legitimately hurt himself, but maybe they found out that it's not as big as you think it is. So now they can just let you know, because there's not been no real report on Monday. Paul Heyman said that the swelling was too much, so they have not been able to do a MRI or anything like that to figure out what it was. Seth Rollins was filling in for Rich Eisen on the Rich Eisen show this week. One day this week, or maybe a couple of days this week, who knows? But on one of the days, he talked about the injury, and he said that he knew his body, and his body. He said that his body knows that doesn't feel like he's gonna be out for a while. He doesn't know, but hopefully they'll know soon. So this is getting all of the people on the internet, internet wrestling community, wanting to know: is this a work, or is this a shoot? Is it a work? Because now, with CM Punk facing Gunther at Summerslam for the World Heavyweight Championship, could this possibly be a way to where during that match, or even after that match, Seth Rollins would be able to cash in? Because they've always said, and we can go back just a short month ago to the Night of Champions, where Seth Rollins said that he was always going to make sure that CM Punk was never a champion in WWE. And hell, they can still do that. Even if Seth Rollins knee injury is bad, who's to say that they still can't do that? Like, Seth Rollins can come down there in crutches and hit CM Punk with a crunch and get him disqualified. And get Gunther disqualified, or Gunther would, CM Punk would win the match, but Gunther would not, would still retain the championship. There's so many things that they can still do with that. And the involvement of Breakker and Bronson are still there as well. So, I have an article here from the Takedown on SI.com. Article by Rick Ucchino, and this was posted a couple days ago. The latest WWE backstage chatter on Seth Rollins' knee injury. It is increasingly likely that various pieces of information regarding Seth Rollins' alleged injury are being passed along intentionally. There's a ton of conflicting information hitting the rumor mill this week when it comes to Seth Rollins' knee injury, and that may be the goal of those people who are handing out said information. It is very likely that WWE wants people confused as to what's real and what's not. Mission accomplished if that's the case, because the lines between story and reality are definitely blurred in this situation. Rollins lost to LA Knight over the weekend at Saturday night's main event after coming up lame on a springboard moonsault attempt. He was visibly upset afterward and had to be helped to the back. The following night at WWE Evolution, Seth was even seen wearing a knee brace and was walking around backstage on crutches. Sean Rossap of FIFA Select is reporting that certain staff members were under the impression that Rollins would be winning his match against the megastar this past Saturday night, which had many insisting that an audible had been called when he lost. Quote, producers, talent, and a number of staff are being told that Rollins' injury is legitimate, but there isn't a real solid detail on how long he could be out, Sean Rossap reported Friday. Most everyone agrees that Rollins has some sort of injury, but there isn't a lot known about when he actually sustained it or if it was worked on Saturday night's main event. An earlier report from the Wrestling Observer said that Rollins is legitimately dealing with some kind of injury, but not one that would keep him out for any action over a steered period of time. A number of WWE producers are also now skeptical about the severity of his condition, according to Sean Rossap. WWE with for an MRI on Monday would provide a clearer picture on how much time Seth would have to miss. but his knee was apparently still too swollen to get a definitive diagnosis. Rollins then said on the Rich Eisen show Wednesday that he feels like he'll be on the shelf for the foreseeable future, whether this is a work or a shoot or somewhere in between. Sean Ross Sapp says it's likely that various pieces of information are being disseminated intentionally. We'll keep you updated on the Seth Rollins injury situation as more details come available. Well, see, here's the thing. I don't want anyone to get to be injured, and I don't want anyone to have a major injury. So much so that it does their career. But I gotta be honest with you, I want Seth Rollins to be injured. And again, it's not because I hate Seth Rollins. I don't. Hell, he's a Bears fan. I'm a Bears fan. Go Bears, right? We love football sometimes, and we hate football sometimes because of those Bears. I think overall Seth Rollins is a pretty much a okay guy. I don't think he's anything. I don't think like he's a bad dude or anything like that, or anything like that. Anything like that would make me want to root against him in real life. But if this turns out to be a work, and this is all this is that this is a storyline beat, so that Seth Rollins can come out there running down, knee healthy as hell, and turning Punk Gunther into a triple threat, or even cashing in on Punk if Punk should happen to win from Gunther. Then I'm gonna be a little disappointed, a little bit pissed, because what that is that is going to make the Nimrods on the internet always say, oh, it's a work, this is work, you're getting work, brother. Everything they're gonna say now is that it's a work, because they do it already right now. Anything happens, it's real. Oh, it's work, brother. You're getting worked. What was the most recent thing that happened? It came out. It was some. I wish I could remember. But it was something. There was something online, and it was causing the Nimrods on the internet. When people were talking about real, they were talking about, you're getting work, brother. It's work. And it's. I can't remember exactly what it was. But yeah, it was. Yeah, it was never work. It was a real thing. I don't know if it was injury or whatever, but yeah, it was something like that. So it's just. Yeah, I don't want that to happen, because then you're gonna be questioning everything, right? Someone gets hurt. Are they working? Is it a shoot? It's not what you want to do. Mr. Santizap, he had an interesting point that he made on one of his shows. That he was saying that a couple years ago, not a couple years ago, but last year when AJ Styles came back, he had a match with Carmelo Hayes, and in that match, AJ Styles went for a Orochi, and when he did it, it kind of hurt his foot, and they had to stop the match at that point. And he was talking about, well, this is some type of work. This is some type of work to get. To have AJ, anything like that. And it turned out that AJ Styles missed you know, almost 7, 8 months with that injury. And he says he always felt like an asshole for saying that it was a work. And that's why I think it is like this. Like you should not be. It's one of my pet peeves. But if something happens, and is it a work or is it a shoot? Are you getting work? I told you it was work. It's getting worked. It's just, it's almost like they want to be, they somehow want to be right about being worked. Or about something being worked. And they want to say, well, you get worked, I didn't get worked. It's a fucking stupid thing that some people on the internet do when it comes to wrestling, and I just don't get it. Like, at some point, like all of us are getting worked because we're watching wrestling. Right? We're watching this thing where people are competing against each other in a physical fight, and we're watching it. We're already getting worked. That's like almost a big part of getting worked. But it's okay, right? It's okay because we like it. So it's so the fact that you're so much on the internet saying ha ha ha, you get worked, I didn't, ha ha ha, you're already getting worked because you're watching wrestling. So it is a sickening. So again, like I said, I don't want, I'm hoping for I'm hoping that Seth Rollins is not, too badly injured. I hope it's not a torn ACL or anything that would keep him out a very long time, or anything like that. But I do hope that he is injured and that this is not a work, because I think that would be very, very harmful to the wrestling community, and also to the fact that some of the boys and girls backstage, they thought this was real as well, and you don't want to work the boys and girls backstage, at least not in this kind of way. Maybe you want to work them in another way, but you don't want to work them in something like this where there was kind of when it first happened, there was kind of outcry about it. So yeah, that's it. Seth Rollins, we'll find out at some point just what it is. I think instead of trying to figure out and fighting with people if it's a work or a shoot, let's just see how things play out. Alright, y'all, that is going to be it for this special episode of That to Shoot. Post your comments down below to me what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Give me your thoughts on the Travis Scott situation, the Jelly Roll situation, on whether there should be an Evolution pay-per-view each and every year, or if it's okay to take a few years off in between the Evolutions. And of course, your thoughts on Seth Rollins' injury. Work, not a work, shoot, not a shoot. Let me know down in the comment section. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. This is your boy, AJTRIP, signing off. As always, be good to each other, y'all. Be careful out there. And I am out.